Alright, now that I've got the Sly Cooper HD collection, I can finally start recording Sly Cooper, and in higher quality. Holy shit! RWBY Grimm Eclipse is on Steam Early Access? Fuck this shit. Rooster Teeth. What can you say about them? They went from making Red vs. Blue in a small apartment to a studio, and then they went on to make more things as they outgrew even more studios. They inspired me to make videos online, particularly machinima thanks to RWBY, and at RTX 2014 I was able to say that to Bernie Burns himself. It was a damn good day. But today I'm going to be talking about Rooster Teeth's very first in-house developed video game, currently in early access on Steam. RWBY Grimm Eclipse. RWBY is one of Rooster Teeth's more recent series, which is heavily inspired by various animes such as... I don't know. I'm not really an anime person. The only reference I got is that Ruby and Yang's dog Zwei is a reference to Ein from Cowboy Bebop. It's a show about teenagers learning to become hunters and huntresses and protect civilization from monsters known as Grimm, and it centers around 4 young girls named Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang. While I do enjoy the show enough, hell, I have both volumes on Blu-ray, it's definitely flawed in almost every way, with the exceptions of the soundtrack and the action. RWBY has a surprisingly huge fan base, and they were clamoring for a video game, so some of the guys over at Rooster Teeth decided to do just that. I actually played 2 different demo builds of Grimm Eclipse, one at RTX 2014 and another for sponsors only some time ago, but let's see how the most current build is. Now remember, this is not a completed game. It's still in the early access and only has 1 of 3 planned campaigns for the game. I'm simply doing this because I love Rooster Teeth and I want to provide feedback not only for the developer, but also to inform people who may consider buying this game whether or not it's worth their time and money now. So, with that said, let's take a look at RWBY Grimm Eclipse, as it is now. In terms of plot, the campaign presented in this version of the game doesn't really have one. Team RWBY is apparently just collecting artifacts or something when they find that someone is modifying creatures of Grimm, and that's pretty much it. There are no cutscenes besides 2 of an old building for a few seconds, and the story, if you can call it that, is conveyed through dialogue from beacon professors on the radio. Unfortunately, the dialogue from the professors is hard to hear, even at max speech volume, and if you turn on subtitles, some of the text doesn't actually appear, leaving me scratching my head as to what Ryan's character is saying. Yeah, I know he has a name, but I can't remember it, so I'm just going to call him Ryan's character. In this frantic hack-and-slash 3D beat-em-up, you can play as any of the 4 members of Team RWBY. The first character I tried was Ruby, since I liked how she played in the previous versions I tried, and she attacks fast, hits hard enough, and has a devastating ranged special attack. I honestly think she's my favorite character to play. Weiss is a fast attacker, though she tends to focus more on single enemies than groups, but her special attacks can royally fuck up large groups of Grimm. I especially love the freeze upgrade for her Nova attack. Blake also attacks fast while noticing a pattern here, but doesn't hit incredibly hard. Her melee attacks can quickly toss enemies into the air and she can juggle them with ease. Her Shadow Self special attack is kind of useless though in comparison to her other specials, which Blake seems pretty reliant on using in order to hold her own against groups. And Yang, having shotgun gauntlets, is incredibly close quarters with her fighting style, but not only does she hit like a damn truck, but she can also easily switch her focus between enemies mid-combo. She is great for crowd control. All of the members of Team RWBY have a special meter which allows them to perform special moves. The special meter is built up by chaining together attacks into combos, with each bar of the special meter requiring about 12 hits to be filled. If you spend a few seconds without attacking or you get hit by an enemy, then your combo is broken. Although considering how fast combos can be in this game, you should have little issue building up that meter and unleashing absolutely devastating attacks. The combat in this game is fast, exciting, and incredibly satisfying, especially when you're playing with friends online. RWBY Grimm Eclipse is a co-op game through and through. Playing this alone is just brutal. The only major problems I have with the combat system are that there's no lock-on, but then again you're focusing on large groups so it's not that big an issue. There's no block or guard, so you're either always on the offensive or running to let your aura refill, and the camera is manually controlled at all times. It'd be nice to have a camera option that would keep it behind whatever character you're playing until the player decides to move it, then press the right analog stick in to recenter it. It'd certainly help avoid the camera clipping into some environments and giving you some odd views. In spite of all that though, I really like how Grimm Eclipse plays. The control feels just right and gives a nice blend of Dynasty Warriors and something Platinum made, like Metal Gear Rising. The campaign in this version of the game consists of only 4 missions, which you can finish in under an hour at most. As you progress, you gain experience points and you can upgrade different aspects of your character's abilities and stats as you level up. Some abilities are only unlocked by completing certain challenges, such as killing X amount of enemies with Y special attack, or getting to level 10 with that specific character. Thankfully, even though level up progress doesn't carry over between playthroughs, your challenge progress does, so once you unlock an ability to acquire when you level up, it's permanently able to be acquired. The missions themselves, though, are a bit repetitive structurally. You essentially go to an area, fight Grimm, go to another area, fight more Grimm, go to yet another area, fight more Grimm, then defend something from 4 or 5 waves of Grimm, and that's a mission. Mission 2 actually has 2 points where you fight a few waves of Grimm, and Mission 3 has its wave mission closer to the middle with a boss fight at the end, but it's more of a mook and boss clothing. Mission 4 actually doesn't have a wave defense mission, but an interesting minecart challenge where one of the players has to gather dust to power a minecart in order to move it into a bottomless pit to dispose of a bomb, which gives you 6 minutes before detonation. All the while, your entire team is being attacked by Grimm, including modified kamikaze Grimm. It requires a bit more teamwork, and it's more interesting and tense than the previous defeat X waves of enemies mission beats. Can we have more things like this? Like puzzles or something? The level design is a bit uninteresting, big, and empty at points, which is understandable given the locales in the last 2 missions, but that doesn't excuse the flatness. You can find artifacts hidden in each mission that give everyone on your team 100 experience, but they don't do anything outside of that. Visually, even on potato graphics, which I play on, the game still looks nice, but graphical options are extremely lacking. The audio mixing in this current build is atrocious. Some sound effects are horribly overmodulated, the music is almost inaudible, and dialogue is difficult to hear. Also, a fair share of Blake's dialogue doesn't sound like her voice actress Aaron Zek. Aaron Zek. Although considering that she moved recently, I would understand if they needed a placeholder for the time being. The only bugs I've encountered so far have been the camera phasing into environments at times, the characters freezing in a single stance while going down slopes, and, like I already said, the audio mixing. Hopefully these issues are addressed sooner rather than later, especially the audio. Now I know that I'm coming off as a bit harsh, but like I said earlier in this video, I'm more than aware that this is early access, and that this game is still not done. I'm simply relaying my thoughts in order to help along the developer. I want to see this game become better. I want to see this game get finished, and I want it to be polished. Do I think they'll actually consider changing some of the level design? I don't know. But considering that they still have a fair bit of content to finish and roll out in the 8 to 10 months they plan to stay in early access, I think they're going to be more focused on the stuff that isn't in the current build, with what we have being polished later. Now with all of that said, I do have a few suggestions for what could be put into RWBY Grimm Eclipse for the final release. For one thing, why not have some special double team attacks? In the series, the characters frequently use their combat abilities in conjunction with each other, so it only makes sense to try to see if this could be done in a game. Second, how about taking the Waves of Enemies mission beat and making a new game mode out of it, sort of like the old builds of the game? Maybe have some special abilities that can only be unlocked by completing this Horde mode. And finally, a mission select. I know the campaigns are only going to be 4 missions long and don't even take an hour to beat, but what if players just want to play a single mission from later in that campaign? I imagine that sometimes I would like to play through mission 4 of this campaign on its own, rather than having to push through the first 3 missions to get to it. Is it worth $15 though? Well, in its current state at least. If you like RWBY, then you probably already bought it. If you're a fan of hack and slash, I would say that this is a pretty good hack and slash. But there's not much there right now. Although it should be noted that as more content is added to Grimm Eclipse, the more its price is going to go up. You might want to get it now if you're interested. Depending on how well this video is received, I may do more videos on Grimm Eclipse as more news or updates are released as sort of follow-ups to this video. If you'd like that, let me know in the comments. Until then, I'm gonna go record Sly Cooper for the next episode, which is being delayed until next week at the earliest. But until then, thank you guys for watching, have a good night, and happy gaming. Also, Miles Luna, one of the creators of RWBY, prevented me from getting a selfie with Pongo at RTX 2014. He took the puppet and had a dance party with him at Mega64's booth. So if you could just tweet the hashtag MilesCrushesDreams to him, that'd be swell.